Hello, one and all. This is Pacific Carrier Guy, and I'm going to make a video about Warplan Pacific, and I want to talk about the state of the game. Now, we got to remember this game was released April 29th. I'm recording this May 27th, so we're talking. This is a 1.00.01 game. It's brand new. I mean, it's had one. I don't even call it a patch. I call it a hot fix. So it's early. It's brand new. By the way, we're looking at the 1942 map. The start of the 1942 scenario. And so it's brand new. It's still a baby game in many ways. And there are some things it does extremely well, but being a new game, it's got some problems, and it may matter to you and it may not. First off, I want to talk about what it does that it does well. I have to open a file here though for a minute. One of the things it does well is, and we'll go here and look a little bit, is land combat. Now, I'm not a land combat expert. As I've stated before, the Pacific Theater that's my thing. Okay. Uh, it, but I do know enough to know that it doesn't do it outrageously. There's one counter perhaps. It's not a problem. A lot of games do that. And I think it's got uh, it well balanced between you just can't attack. The one thing I wonder about, and this is something I don't know, in this game, each hex is about 50 miles. And in clear weather, with good weather and clear terrain, a division or army or corps, because that's what this is, there's armies, corps, and divisions, can go about 250 miles. Now, is that accurate? You know what? I don't know. I have no idea. But jungle warfare is nasty. It does a great job of the terrain and the weather in China just decimating supply. And you're having difficulty to move and advance. It's not the sweeping envelopes and enveloping movements and encirclements and stuff you get on the other Western and Eastern Front in the European theater. The jungle movement, I mean, it's unless you're on one of these rails, I mean, you might go from here maybe to there and you're done. And that's 2 weeks worth of movement. So it does a good job of that. Uh, air power. Okay, air power. It is outstanding in air power. How it portrays air power. Now, to give this unit right here is a perfect example. Uh, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, let's look. It's got a range of, how about I get on the air unit? Range of 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, actually, I should be able to do range. So I can, there we go. So down to here, if I move a transport, any kind of ship, and it stops anywhere inside that circle, that unit can attack it. Outstanding. And in versus ship, it looks like it doesn't cause a lot of strength damage, Like if this guy was to attack this naval air unit, it doesn't cause a lot of, or this land unit. If this air unit attacks this land unit, it won't. It doesn't look like it causes seizures, or it doesn't look like it. But what happens is this guy loses effectiveness. It loses its ability to fight. It really doesn't lose any strength or that much strength, but it just can't fight as well as it could before the airstrike. Well, you know what? That's exactly what aircraft did. Yeah, they caused some material losses, but mostly it just hampered the enemy. Also, when supply is now, let's make sure. Okay. One, two, three hexes away. So now when supply goes into this port, I got one operation port left. I'm automatically going to hit supply, and these guys aren't going to get as much as supply. It's done a really great job of showing how air power was important on these islands to prevent movement kind of around them. At the same time, if I could start a fleet here, I could move all the way through to right here and attack, and I would not be subject to that air power. And that's also very accurate. During the war, we never took these islands. Well, actually, that's a lie. We did. We attacked and took this one because we thought we were going to need it for the invasion of the Philippines. Turns out we never even needed it. So it's kind of a realistic that, hey, if you're far enough, if you got a close enough base, you can go through it without it getting killed by these guys. Now, whether or not supply should go through there or not as well as it does, I can see an argument saying, hey, wait, if you're invading here, there should be a penalty to supply because of the air power. That's something the game needs to look at. I don't honestly have an answer whether or not it should do that, because I don't know if it does that in other ways. But right now, you're not going to, in the game, the way it's set up, you're not going to see a negative to supply if you've got these guys here and you're invading here. It might be that the game figures out something else because there is a distance to port penalty. In other words, if my nearest supply hex is up here and I've got a unit here, there's the penalty for how far this hex is away. It's not going to get as much supply, so that's good. It does naval combat honestly about the best for a game of this nature that I've seen. Uh, it you there is a limit to the number of CVs you can put into a single group, kind of like a task force. The United States by mid 44 figured out, hey, that there's a limit to how many CVs you want to put in a single task force. It just grouped all the task forces together. Uh, Air power, land-based air power rules. Until you have massed CVs of in 44, like the U.S. Navy did, you bring a CV in this area, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to be getting bombed from all these guys, and you're going to suffer because this is, according to the game scale, this is 300 to 400 aircraft for each one of these. So you're going to have real problems. You just can't take six CVs, let's say, and pull them into a hex and go land-based air don't matter. Yeah, it matters. At the same time, that's why CVs are so important and why they were so important in the war is because your aircraft carriers project that air power and they do a wonderful job of simulating that because, okay, fine. I've got three aircraft carriers. You got five battleships. Bring on your five battleships. Unless you get a very lucky random roll, you're never going to get close to me. You're going to lose all your battleships. So, but at the same time, if I'm parked here and you're here with these battleships, your battleships can do a night move and maybe get me into a night action. Okay. And then there's two. I could pull a CV, put it here, and it's possible that these guys might not find me. Uh, there is a randomness to naval combat that is very accurate. Now you may be a player and you don't want that randomness. I understand that. But that's realistic, especially when you look at the wars, at the actual real life battles. There really was an almost randomness to what happened. And so the naval combat is great. I'm really happy with that. I'm happy with how air power is portrayed. I'm naval combat. I'm gonna keep on going on about it, guys, because what most games end up doing is they end up CV is like an armored division, and a battleship's like a corps, and that's how they do land combat on the ocean. Well, that's not how it works, and that's not good, and that's not what this does. It actually does really great land combat. Uh, the creator of the game is very active on the Matrix forums, and you can ask him questions. You can ask questions. You can reply. Uh, and like I said, it's brand new. And so, you know, that's the good point. But now I'm going to talk about the bad point and about what I have, some of the problems that I have with this game. And it deals with this the 1941. This is the 1941 scenario start. And I want to talk a minute. Now, first, let's realize, okay, you don't want a game that exactly uh, recreates uh, moderate the war, but you do want a game that, hey, it gives you a good, if I could get the right date here, geez, can't type now. But it puts you in some of the same places. It puts you in some of the same situations, and it looks kind of familiar. Okay, uh, that's what you're wanting. Okay, and right now the game has a real problem in the 41 scenario that it's really in many ways almost fictional. Okay, and now, does that mean it's a bad game? Does that mean it is not balanced? Okay, you know what? I don't know. I haven't played it enough, and I would say it might be bounced. Okay, but it doesn't resemble World War II. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that here in a second. Now, I've typed up the dates here, and these are the dates. Hong Kong was attacked and fell. Now, this is real life. Hong Kong was attacked and fell on December 25th. Philippines was invaded December 22nd. Japan actually entered Manila January 2nd, but MacArthur didn't leave the Philippines till March. Uh, they took northern Borneo on January 19th. They invaded Borneo on the 11th. Singapore, they were within 25 kilometers. Each axis 50 miles. So they were right down here on January 30th. Singapore ended up falling in February. They did not invade here until February 2nd. They didn't invade here until February 14th. And they didn't get into Burma until February 8th. So that gives you some ideas of the real life dates. And the problem, what it happens is, okay, you can easily take and put a unit right here on turn one. Turn one represents December 7th to December 21st. So that sounds good. Okay, you put a unit there, and this will either fall either on your December 21st turn, the Philippines. Okay, when you start the turn, that's the date I'm talking about. So when you start your January 4th turn or your December 21st turn, there'll be no allied units in here. There's no resistance. You can start moving units out because it falls that fast. Because the way the game is set up right now, you land, there's an army up here already on a transport. You land it right there. You attack twice. You blockade the ports. It doesn't get supply. You move into Manila, and all the Philippines surrenders. So where there was fighting here, and Japan had to have the units here and into March and May into well, they had to have units here into May. No, you don't worry about it. In January, you're taking all your units out, putting them somewhere else. Okay. Now you don't even have to land here. I'll show you. You don't even have to land on this side of Borneo. You land. Really, what is ideal is you land one unit right here to take this oil and take that. That's turn one. Turn one, you take two out of these three. You land a guy here. You land a guy here. You may take it on turn one. If not on turn, you take it on turn two. And these guys, sometimes you attack them and they just shatter and disappear. Sometimes they hang out, but there's nothing stopping you. Now it does a real good job of doing Malaya, because honestly, you're not getting down here. You're not going. You're going to attack here, and then you're still going to have to move a turn. So you're not attacking this until January 4th at the earliest. So if you go the last, so maybe if you do good on the January 21st turn, okay, let's write this. If you're lucky, one, what would it be? 21, you may get this to fall. If you're not getting this to fall on your January 4th turn, you are really behind. You either messed something up or something bad happened. Okay. You get this the first turn this by January 4th, you should have all of Borneo. Okay. And by January 4th, you should have all of the Philippines. Okay. So what happens then? That what this means is on January 4th, you as the Japanese You control all this. You control this because once Manila falls, all that surrenders. You control all, well, not exactly all of that because let me go back and see if I can erase that because I'll show you exactly. You control all the Dutch East Indies up here. All this surrenders. And somebody mentioned to me, that there's no about 42 early 42 battles. And I told him, well, no, because the way the game's set up, you're not going to have those 1942 battles the way they had them in uh, uh, in real life. And this is a perfect example. In February, I can't remember. I think it's February 42. The Allies sent some cruisers in here with the idea of hitting the Japanese transports. Well, you look, February 42. I've had that's 2 turns ago. Maybe even 3 turns ago. I ain't got no transports in here. Why do I have transports in there? And right now, the way it stands, I don't. Once I hit Batavia, I can move that unit out. Okay. Now, so that there's all that, but it gets even honestly a little. It gets worse. All right, guys. It gets worse than that because what you can do when you come over here, first off, Guam is a victory hex. Okay, you can see the victory X. Guam is not in control. I want to go down here. Yeah, whether or not you take Wake Island, you notice it's not a victory X. The only reason that you might want to take Wake Island is you're the Japanese. Is I think I'd want to take it because if I was American, well, see, and I just don't know, even if then, because if you look at it, come on here, it's a it's only a size 1 port. Size 1. That means one naval unit and it can get supply. 10 strength points. So if you put a division, it already starts with a division here. If you let that division build up and then you put an air unit here, the air unit can't get supply. So Wake Island is kind of, well, and useless. It's useless for the Allies. So I'm not sure you really need to attack it. Because it's not a big enough port and that it can't support. Now, fine, you put an air unit there. Get first off, the air unit can't get supply because air units are size 20 if they're full strength. Uh, and so it's not getting enough supply. So why do I want to take away at Japan? What threat does Wake Island give me? A lot bigger threat, really, in my opinion, down here in Ottawa. At least it's a size 2. You could put a division here and a half air unit. You can't really do half air units, but at least you're going to only be short 10 supply. Now Guam is a victory X. So okay, you want to take Guam, okay? But other than that, there's no reason to take Wake Island. No, the only reason to take Tarawa is maybe prevent the Allies from taking it. Maybe. But honest with you, you sure don't have to do that on the first turn. I wouldn't be doing it on the first turn. No. First turn, first turn, you got this guy. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can put this guy on a transport, move him. Then you can put some of these guys on transports because you got transports on landing craft. You have a lot. So, first turn. Now, this is turn number 1. Okay? This is December 7th to December 21st. That's what we're talking about. You attack here at Rabaul. I would attack here at Lay. It's a victory point. You maybe attack right here. Okay. You might bring another unit down here. That's fine. That's turn one. Turn two, these little guys, you can't make them in the game. Okay. You cannot. What they are is they're really weak divisions with 1 or 2 points. Well, you can't split a division. So there's no way you can get these units in game. They just come to the start. I put this guy and another guy back here. He attacks Guam. There's no defense. You can move this guy here. It's a one size port. Attack that. If you really want to take this 1 point port, no problem. Okay, you can, you want to. But I've got 1, 2, 3 attacks, maybe 4 attacks if I really want to. I've got 1, 2, 3. We're gonna count this guy because you put him on a 4, 5, 6. You still got 2 more units. Okay. So what do you do with them? Well, that's easy. If I can erase all this now. Okay. You come down here. You come down here and you start taking this stuff. Now, I know, I think some of these places, but you can easily take right here, Esperanto Santo, and right here, and those are size 3 points. That's bigger than Wake. That's bigger than Tarawa. That's bigger than all of them. You could put a division and a land unit there, keep them in supply, and at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, maybe you can count. Okay, but you can see. Hey, I've got air cover over to Fiji. I got air cover over to New Caledonia. I bring in my CVs. If I want to invade New Caledonia on, let's say, January, at least February, the first turn in February. What's going to stop me? Now, the Allies, remember, the Allies don't have any transports. They have enough oil that if they put out their 4 CVs, they get 2 on December 23rd. 4 CVs, 2 or 3 cruisers, so 4 destroyers. That is more than half their oil. If they fly their 1 air unit over here in 2 turns, that's 17 oil. They've only got 20. And that means New Zealand isn't flying their aircraft and Australia isn't flying theirs. Just to get New Zealand and Australia to fly their aircraft in a kind of an attack once, you're talking 6 points. 6 points of oil. That's not that's either not using the aircraft on your turn or not having them be in support mode. Okay, so you've barely got enough oil to move your fleets and to fly your planes, but you can go here. You can take these guys here on your first turn. December 23rd, you get these guys. You immediately move them here. So you're down here, maybe, well, you'll be down here January 4th. You might be in low supply. And an oiler, if you build an oiler, yeah, this will be the same. Six on December 7th. Well, you look, you're not getting oilers till February 5th. So you're going to have to go in here to dock. So by the time you get up here, it may be at the end of February with your aircraft carriers to defend some of this stuff. Okay. Uh, but you can, but because there's no tie, there's nothing to tie him down in here. The Japanese player, he's moving here to take this stuff. Okay, I have actually had a Japanese player. I kid you not. He evaded and took this right here. There's no way, folks. Any Japanese unit that invaded all the way over here would never be able to get supply. There's no way. They had they had Japanese, that is, had problems. They were worried, and people were amazed that they could get to Hawaii. Okay, you can see the distance, but he could evade here, here, and all here with no problems. None. I'm not even. I mean, no problems. It gets worse. Well, I won't say worse. Japan historically, as far as it reached its max in May of 42. Okay, and in May of 42, that put it about right here. Okay, if I'm not here in February of 42 as Japan, I'm doing real bad. I mean, real bad because you look here. Okay, you can see India's units. Okay, there's a port here. Well, what are the what? Japan. There's nothing to keep Japan from coming up and invading up in here. Okay, that they, well, they can't get. Yeah, they can. They can get around there, no problem. Okay, so you really kind of need to put a unit here, or he's going to march up into here, and you can look and see where the important spots are. You're talking here, you're here, Delhi. So he's going to come in, land right here, unless you move one of these units down and protect it, and move right in. Now, of course, Japan. I realize Japan ain't going to do that right away. But if you take these guys, move them. Well, you can't move them. I'm sorry. Uh, the Allies. Let's see if I got this set up right. Yeah, I think I do. It's going to go right into. Yep. The Allies do not get their first transport till March. That's the United Kingdom. We'll go back and look at that again. I'll show you again. United Kingdom, first transport didn't come till March. So, United Kingdom is not moving any units into India till at the earliest. He gets it on March 21st. You load up here, and then you get it to about right here. So you're talking April, really, before you can put a single unit in there, which to me is laughable, honestly, when you go look at the 42 scenario and the United Kingdom has three divisions in here, has an air unit, a half size air unit, 10 strength out of 20 here, another 10 strength out of 20. There's no way they can do it. There's no way you can do it. Uh, Okay. And what happens now, the best strategy I've seen for the India player is move this guy and put him right here. Because on turn one, Japanese player gets to about right here. On turn two, with this guy here, it makes it harder to move through and it might delay a turn. But on turn two, remember, turn two is December 21st. At the end of turn two, December 21st, you're right here as Japan. And then you just keep right on marching. And India, well, you could see what. He can bring this guy down and this guy. He can bring this 4 units against all of this. Anything else Japan wants to throw in, because you can't leave Calcutta, Japan will invade. You can't leave here, Japan will invade. You can't leave here, Japan will invade. You can now there's a core here you can break up. So you can put a unit here, but that's your strongest unit, and you just broke it up. And you can get it down here eventually, but there's just India doesn't have enough to stop Japan from really honestly by March. As Japan, you are doing badly if you're not up in here. If they've moved units, and if they've moved units to help defend this, invade, 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 and there's little what the Allied player can do. The Allied player can bring their American carriers over here. Of course, you can bring your carriers over here and wipe them out. But if he's doing that, it's kind of hit them where they ain't. Because honestly, if he's doing that, I'm coming over here. In Australia, the Australia coast is toast. Okay, the Australia coast, it's gone. It's mine. Now, the way Australia coast is, I couldn't figure out how a player did it, but I finally figured out there's a core here somewhere. There really is a core, I thought. Um, Maybe it's this. Yeah, it's right here. It's just so weak. You break this, you keep this guy here because your victory point is right there. That's your victory point. This right here, the resource, that resource right there. Is there anything else in? That's really the only things that's what you're wanting to protect. So fine, let the Japanese player have all this. Now it's unrealistic. They may have invaded, but they wouldn't have gone far. But you protect here, you protect here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hexes. 11. Well, that's only size 1. Okay, let's look. Size 2, 1. 1 hex right there, size 4. There's 2 hexes, 3 hexes, bigger 4 hexes, 5 hexes, 6 hexes. And I would count that 7 hexes, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. 7. Oh, well, you can put your headquarters on the hex. So you need American help, but you're not getting American help until the American can move a unit. Now remember, they're going to get one March 23rd, and then it's going to hit that Australian train. It won't get down here until a turn after the March turn. So you're talking, well, I think March 29th, April 3rd, March 29th, it'll go in. It comes out here 1st of April. Mid-April, you get 1 unit in here. 1942 scenario, you start out with 2 USC units in here. Right now, as the game is written, as it stands, you're invading Australia and India in March or April. If you're doing anything at all good as the Japanese, you're invading both in March. They weren't done with here. They were starting down here in February. Now, is the game balanced where, well, that means the Japanese player is always going to win? The game. And I'm talking about the game here. Who ends up with the most victory points? Hey, look, I don't know. I'll be honest, with you, I don't know. What I'll say is that's not a World War II game. The 1941 scenario, it's not a World War One game or World War II game. I mean, it's not a World War II game. It's elves and dwarves and hobgoblins and orcs because it has no resemblance to World War II. Now, I'm gonna get in the editor and find out maybe I can do something I don't know. But right now, I'm not playing I am in 4 play by email games. I'm going to continue to play them because, in my opinion, that's a commitment I've made to the other players. So I'm going to play them out. And then I'm not playing 41 until something's done to fix it. It's very disappointing that a game that can do so much so right has that so bad. And there's people that just they well, it's bounced. Wait till the end. And like I've told some people, you know what? If I was doing a Major League Baseball game, I wouldn't have to wait till the ninth inning to know when a team scores 70 runs in the third inning. Hey, you know what? There's something wrong with the game. There's something wrong right now with the game that allows the Japanese player to just take everything with so little, well, no resistance. Because the Allies, you really can't resist. It's going to happen. Okay, yeah, you can throw your carriers out there, but okay, so he loses his carriers. He could still do the invasion because now you don't have any carriers. He has less. Okay, so he still does the invasion. Still takes Fiji and Samoa and New Caledonia, and there's nothing to stop him now when you don't have your fleet. It really, it breaks the immersion. There is no immersion because it does not feel like World War II. Now, does that mean, like I said, it's not a good game and the Allies can't come back and reconquer India and reconquer Australia and in the end the victory points are close and who knows gonna who's win? Hey, it might be okay, but that's not a game that I want. So that's something that you might want to consider, but also consider that if you don't buy the game and support it, you're not going to get anything like it. You might say, well, it's not a good game. I don't want to buy it. Well, then you're not going to get anything like it, and the author of it's not going to improve it. Because why would he? Why would he want to? Nobody's buying it. So you know what? That's a decision for you to make. But that's the state of the game right now. Maybe a patch. Honestly, I think it's going to need more than one patch because I think things need to be rewritten uh, and a little bit of redesign. And this is the kind of, honestly, I feel this kind of thing happens when you only have one voice, for want of a better word. Uh, but it's got possibilities. And that's more than I can say for a lot of games. All right. That's it. Hopefully this worked. I tried this once earlier, and I want to say I thank the person that told me, hey, I don't have sound. My mic stopped working, and I didn't notice it. So this is my second try at this state of the game. Uh, I will be posting some more videos of actual gameplay here soon. Stay tuned. I think I've got one or two more of the 41 scenario, and I'm going to start a 42 scenario as the Allies against the AI, and we'll see what happens. And I may show you a scenario in one of my play by email games, just to show you, just to show you. All right, you guys have a good day.